The story of Star Wars is generally a tale of good versus evil, filled with characters that solidify their stance in the matter through the actions they take on their respective journeys. It's through these actions that these characters transform from just everyday people into legends. This begs the question, which character is the best? Many may give one or various answers. I believe there are quite a few. So my goal in this series is to intensely analyze the characters I believe fit this mold, and to make a case for them as the greatest Star Wars character of all time. The character I want to look at today is the Jedi Master himself in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan is undoubtedly one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars and arguably responsible for the majority of its memes. In this multi-part analysis, I want to go over how Obi-Wan's ideals, philosophy, and journey as a character molds the themes of both the prequels and the original trilogy. Obi-Wan is first introduced to audiences in the original trilogy as the old and wise Jedi Master that would guide Luke upon his path to becoming a Jedi Knight and a hero of the rebellion. He's an ideal mentor for Luke as he embarks on the quintessential hero's journey, where Obi-Wan's insight proves to be invaluable to his growth as a character. But in order to fully understand how he became the archetypal sage, we must look at the journey he took to get there, as his experiences are what molded him into the guardian of peace and justice that we meet in A New Hope. In Episode 1, Obi-Wan is established as the young Padawan apprentice of Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn. This then gives more meaning to the idea of the circle now being complete, as we see that Obi-Wan's role is a reflection of that in A New Hope. Where he was once the master, now the role has been reversed entirely, where Obi-Wan is but the learner.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I don't sense anything.
It's not about the mission, Master. It's something elsewhere. Elusive.
Even at a young age, Obi-Wan's abilities prove to be powerful, as he senses the dark side of the Force at work, foreshadowing their eventual return. It's in these abilities that Obi-Wan shows that he's an astute student of the Force. But as we know, behind every great student is a great teacher. So what's important here is the advice he's given.
Don't center on your anxieties, Obi-Wan. Keep your concentration here and now where it belongs.
But Master Yoda said I should be mindful of the future.
But not at the expense of the moment. Be mindful of the living Force, young Padawan.
It's through Qui-Gon and Yoda's differing philosophies that the importance of guidance is highlighted, as Obi-Wan's youth makes him more impressionable, so his ideals will be directly shaped by the counsel he's given from his mentors. So the true challenge is for Obi-Wan to choose which advice to lean on. It's in these early scenes of the film that Obi-Wan's characteristics and traits are established. Obi-Wan's young age is emphasized visually through his Padawan braid, this being used to symbolically represent his rank of apprentice in the Jedi Order. Mentally, we see his youth shown through his curiosity, as he's always quick to ask his master questions to gain a better understanding of the world around him.
How do you think this trade viceroy will deal with the Chancellor's demands? Is it in their nature to make us wait this long? But Master Yoda said I should be mindful of the future.
As well, his courage, valor, and overall skills as a swordsman are put to display when aiding his master against the droids of the Trade Federation. As they embark on their escape, Obi-Wan exhibits his iconic wit and charm through his sense of humor, a tool he frequently uses to make light of a situation and ease the tension.
You were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short.
Once on Naboo, Obi-Wan's communication skills and eventual role as a negotiator are put to the test, as he follows his master's lead. When talking to Jar Jar, it becomes apparent that he will act based out of fear, so they play into this to influence his decision-making.
You hear that?
Yeah?
That is the sound of 1,000 terrible things heading this way.
If they find us, they will crush us, grind us into tiny pieces, and blast us into oblivion.
And of course, Obi-Wan never fails to leave much to the imagination. While this works to get them to the Gungan city, once there, Obi-Wan shows that he has room for improvement in the art of negotiation.
Once those droids take control of the surface, they will take control of you. You and the Naboo form a symbiont circle. What happens to one of you will affect the other. You must understand this.
While in most instances this logical line of thinking would convince someone to reconsider, Obi-Wan fails to convince Boss Nass in particular because he doesn't put himself in his shoes.
Naboo think they so smarty. They think their brains so big. We should no care about Naboo.
Boss Nass does not act out of logic, rather emotion, as his pride won't allow him to help someone that thinks they're better than him and his people. Which is why later in the film, Padme succeeds where Obi-Wan failed.
You are not thinking you are greater than the Gungans? Me like this.
In the meantime, before Obi-Wan learns this lesson in negotiation, we see where he picked up his iconic trump card in the Jedi mind trick, as his master uses it to get them the transport they need to reach the city of Theed.
We could use a transport.
We shall give you una bongo.
After Obi-Wan and the team rescue the Queen and reach Tatooine, we're then introduced to Darth Maul. It's through Maul that Obi-Wan's traits are highlighted, as the two apprentices prove to be reflections of each other, where Obi-Wan selflessly prioritizes peace and justice, concerning himself with the safety of others.
What if it is true, and the people are dying?
Either way, we're running out of time.
Maul instead selfishly prioritizes violence and revenge, concerning himself with the destruction of others.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
These ideals that the two hold would bleed over to their fighting styles as duelists, where Obi-Wan prefers to fight defensively and Maul offensively, representing the dichotomy between the Jedi and the Sith as a whole, where the Jedi use the Force for knowledge and defense, and the Sith for power and attack. This idea is reinforced by the respective masters, as Qui-Gon suggests to fortify his spiritual connection with the Force.
Be mindful of the living Force, young Padawan.
And Palpatine suggests to rely on his lethal training.
You have been well trained, my young apprentice. They will be no match for you.
Even the way the two apprentices interact with their masters is a reminder of how the two juxtapose each other. For Maul, he's always fully compliant and blindly subservient to his master without hesitation.
Yes, my master.
For Obi-Wan, he's more than willing to openly question his master's choices.
What if this plan fails, Master? We could be stuck here a very long time.
This, of course, alluding to Obi-Wan's skeptical and at times headstrong tendencies. And Obi-Wan's skepticism is greatly emphasized by his early opinion of the young Anakin Skywalker. While not knowing much about him and never having met him, Obi-Wan mistakenly assumes the worst of Anakin, revealing his more pessimistic side.
Why do I sense we've picked up another pathetic life form?
Turns out Maul's not the only savage in this film, and to think it wouldn't be the last time he roasted Anakin. Oh, wait, sorry, we haven't gotten there yet. On a more serious note though, Obi-Wan's doubtful and arrogant nature continues in the preceding conversations he would have with his master.
The boy will not pass the Council's tests, Master. He's too old.
Anakin will become a Jedi, I promise you.
Again, we see the conflicting philosophies of the Jedi Order versus Qui-Gon on display, as the code relies on arbitrary rules such as age, and Qui-Gon simply relies on the will of the Force.
Do not defy the Council, Master, not again.
I shall do what I must, Obi-Wan.
This concept that Qui-Gon reinforces here is a lesson that Obi-Wan would not fully understand until later in life, as he would go on to tell his apprentice.
Only a Sith deals in absolutes. I will do what I must.
You must do what you feel is right, of course.
Until that time, the youthful Obi-Wan would find it difficult to look beyond the horizon and see what his master was showing him all along, as he continues to focus on abiding by the rules, rather than focusing on doing what's right.
If you would just follow the code, you would be on the Council. They will not go along with you this time.
You still have much to learn, my young apprentice.
And learn he would desperately need to, as his doubt in Qui-Gon and the Chosen One would lean on the side of disrespect.
It's not disrespect, Master, it's the truth.
From your point of view?
Here Qui-Gon emphasizes the importance of perspective, as it can impact our reality entirely.
Your focus determines your reality.
For Obi-Wan, he's become stubborn and dead set in his line of thinking, unable to put himself in his master's shoes, another concept that he would only comprehend through his own experiences in life.
You're going to find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view.
But for now, Obi-Wan would simply persist in his line of thought.
The boy is dangerous. They all sense it, why can't you?
His fate is uncertain. He's not dangerous. The Council will decide Anakin's future. That should be enough for you. Now get on board.
Qui-Gon reminds Obi-Wan that his concerns stem from his fear of the unknown and what he doesn't fully understand. This being in line with Qui-Gon's philosophic approach to the Force, as he focuses on the present and what he can control, never dwelling on the future and the undefined. And while Obi-Wan may be stubborn on this matter, his master has great faith in his ability to improve.
He is headstrong, and he has much to learn of the living Force, but he is capable. There is little more he can learn from me.
I'm sorry for my behavior, Master. It's not my place to disagree with you about the boy. And I am grateful you think I'm ready to take the trials.
You've been a good apprentice, Obi-Wan. And you're a much wiser man than I am. I foresee you will become a great Jedi Knight.
It's here that we see Obi-Wan display some of his greatest strengths, his humility, and his ability to learn from his mistakes. It takes a lot for someone to admit when they're wrong, but for Obi-Wan it almost comes natural. A characteristic that allows him to constantly evolve and grow as a person, never remaining stagnant for too long, aligning with the great wisdom that Qui-Gon states Obi-Wan possesses. Shortly after the team storms the palace, the Duel of the Fates begins, as Master and Apprentice face the first known Sith Lord in over a millennia. The Jedi work in tandem to try and best Maul, but unfortunately become separated in the action. It's during this time that Obi-Wan sees from his master the value in meditation, as Qui-Gon reaches out to the Force and brings his mind to a place of peace, a place where he can tell the difference between good and evil.
But how am I to know the good side from the bad?
You will know when you are calm, at peace, passive.
This tranquility in his master being a reflection of what we would see in Obi-Wan in the final moments of his life, as he became more powerful than one could imagine. But for now, when Obi-Wan stands in the very place his master found peace, he's left with an uncontrollable burst of emotions as he must helplessly witness his father figure be killed in front of him. Traditionally, the apprentice must learn to live beyond the master in order to truly become their own self. For Obi-Wan, this is no different, as he's thrust into his trial to become a Jedi Knight, as he alone must face Maul. When the gates open, Obi-Wan drops his defensive mindset and goes in for the attack, clearly filled with pure emotion, whether it be due to the rage, fear, or sadness for the loss of his master. In any case, he utilizes these feelings to go toe-to-toe with Maul, even slicing his weapon in half. But in the end, he becomes unbalanced, losing his weapon and the high ground in the process. It's not until he heeds his master's words that he's able to be truly successful in the fight, allowing his focus to determine his reality, not centering on his fears, rather concentrating on the moment, on the living force. Obi-Wan then uses Maul's hubris against himself as he appropriately uses his master's weapon to defeat his opponent, symbolically representing the completion of his training, as he was once the learner, now he is the master.
Promise me you will train the boy.
Yes, Master.
He is the chosen one. He will bring balance. Train him.
And in Qui-Gon's dying wish, he asks that Obi-Wan continue his mission and train the chosen one. And out of his love for Qui-Gon, he accepts this task without hesitation, not knowing the great challenge that would be in store for him, as the consequences of the Duel of the Fates would dramatically affect the fate of Anakin. As best said by director and producer Dave Filoni, Qui-Gon knew what it meant to take this kid away from his mother when he had an attachment, and he's left with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trains Anakin at first out of a promise he makes to Qui-Gon, not because he cares about him. So he's a brother to Anakin eventually, but he's not a father figure. That's a failing for Anakin. He doesn't have the family he needs. This then being the perfect opportunity for Palpatine to fill the void in Anakin's life.
We will watch your career with great interest.
And so, all that's left for Obi-Wan is to get the Council on board.
But agree with your taking this boy as your Padawan learner? I do not.
Qui-Gon believed in him.
In Obi-Wan's dialogue, his undying faith in Qui-Gon and what he believed in shines, so much so that he even adopts his rebellious tendencies.
Master Yoda, I gave Qui-Gon my word. I will train Anakin. Without the approval of the Council if I must.
Qui-Gon's defiance I sense in you. Need that you do not.
Like Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan is willing to stand for what he believes in, even when others express doubt.
The chosen one the boy may be. Nevertheless, grave danger I fear in his training.
In the end, through Obi-Wan's effort, Qui-Gon's final request is granted.
Agree with you the Council does. Your apprentice, Skywalker, will be.
And when Obi-Wan delivers the news to Anakin, he does so at Qui-Gon's funeral, fitting as the two shared a father figure in common. So naturally, a brotherly bond would form between them.
Council have granted me permission to train you. You will be a Jedi. I promise.
While the movie ends on a positive note for Obi-Wan as he became Anakin's master, there's a distinct foreboding feeling as Palpatine has begun to obtain power in the Senate, and the Jedi as a whole are unaware of what is to come.
But which was destroyed, the master or the apprentice?
And for Obi-Wan, we're left wondering, can the young novice be as great of a master as he was an apprentice? As not all great students make for great teachers. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I had a ton of fun making this video, so if you enjoyed it too, then I highly suggest liking the video. And if you want to see more like it, then definitely hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when part 2 comes out, then hit the bell for notifications. Or consider checking out my Patreon, where I'll be uploading videos there significantly sooner than on YouTube, though part 2 should be available there as I speak, and the same will apply to the next parts when they come out. And on that note, I want to give a shout out to my patrons. Your support means everything to me. And thank you to everyone who watches. It's amazing to see how much the channel has grown and the awesome community built around it. I'm truly enjoying every minute of it. And as an update for the channel, I'm working to try to get one video out a month, so there'll be plenty in store for this year. And finally, let me know in the comments which Star Wars character is the greatest apprentice and why. And who knows, they might be in the next one. Until next time, I hope we don't pick up any other pathetic life forms.